Welcome and thanks for joining Jeremy and I today as we talk about digital marketing and new concepts. Today, we want to talk about your Google business listing. Maybe you're familiar with it as your Google My Business profile. Google changes the name frequently, but it's the same tool, the same thing we're talking about. And today, we want to spend some time chatting about why it's so important that you focus on your Google business listing and make sure that it's optimized. And the simple answer, I'll start with, and Jeremy will give us more detail, but the simple answer is Google's the 900-pound gorilla in the room, and Google wants you to complete your Google business listing. Their goal, very candidly, as it always has been, is to bring the information about your business to the searcher as fast as possible. And if they can provide information about your business, like your phone number, your address, your reviews, blog posts, and things like that, while we certainly want to drive them to your website, if the goal is to get a connection and that connection happens through your Google business listing, that's a positive. And there's a lot of other search positives and search ranking positives to ranking well and to doing well with that. So, Jeremy, let's jump in a little bit and
Mhm.
let's talk, if you would, other than just making sure you've got your business information there, that name, address, and phone that people talk about, the NAP. What else is important to make sure is set up and optimized and being done on your Google business listing?
Great question. We want to make sure that you have your hours of operation in your Google Business profile. They love pictures. That's to include like external pictures of your building, if it's an external picture, or internal picture if it's like an inside office. That way they can uh, tell the people what kind of place that you have. Um, Google has really good artificial intelligence, so we're looking at photography, looking at logos, and then also you can upload a video for your profile as well. That'll help people understand what your business does at a higher level. And the the really neat thing about Google is they want to make sure your information is up to date for the client. So I always say, if my grandma needed service at her house and she goes to her phone and types in what she needs, Google's always going to provide the most relevant, up to date information possible that's located where she's at. So, knowing that location is a huge factor of how fast somebody can get you service is really where they rank wherever you're at on your phone as well.
So, Jeremy, I'm assuming then the information that we have on there also helps and contributes to how well our business may show up in the Google Maps listings and what we call that map pack, those top three listings when somebody searches for a business. Is that correct?
And that is correct. Yep. Yep.
Other than making sure again our hours are there, I know Google has also added the ability for us to um, essentially add articles or blog posts or things like that to our profile. Obviously, we encourage our clients to blog regularly because it's important and it's a great way to get that out there. In 2022, we've been talking to everybody that'll listen about creating video blogs and then converting that video into text so that we have both video format and audio format and text format. How can that type of content be utilized in your Google business listing to help, I guess, appease the Google gods, so to speak?
No, it's a great question. Kind of what I was talking about before is Google likes the most up to date, relevant information first. And so businesses who are active on their posting, Google will reward them accordingly. A post on Google Business Profile does not last longer than 7 days typically. It might stay around longer, but they really want you active in there at least once a week, updating information. It's kind of their social media platform for businesses, and they want you active on it as well.
Excellent, excellent, helpful. How do Google reviews play into your Google business listing? I know that's obviously where they're kept, and as we work to help encourage five-star reviews, how does the whole Google review program fit in with your Google business listing?
That's another great question. Obviously, Google doesn't release their algorithm letting you know how they rank things. From our research, we found that it's frequency and then the number of reviews that help build that authority. Meaning, Google's not going to penalize a brand new business using their platform if they only get 5 reviews in the first week versus somebody who has 200 reviews. If that company doesn't work towards getting more reviews, that's when person with the most reviews ends up showing up. So it is an equal playing field. It's just a really good chance that the people with the most reviews actually have a system in place in order to keep those reviews coming in, which is vital to rank on the Google Map Pack.
Oh, that makes a ton of sense. I know in my experience, it seems, and I know Google again isn't releasing all of this information even to us as agencies, but it does seem that the more five-star reviews you have, especially in your geographic area, when we're talking local businesses in particular, it seems as though Google expands the radius around your business to which they find you to be relevant. So, as an example, we're located on the north side of Grand Rapids, Michigan. I've noticed in our case for Valorous Circle that the more five-star reviews we have, the further out that circle of influence seems to stretch with the map pack. And the more often we're obviously showing up when somebody searches for a search where our company is relevant. Is that just my perception, or do you think there's some possible validity in that?
That's a great question. I think a lot of it has to do with not only the positive reviews that you're getting, but also where the person is when they post the review. I know with location on your phone, Google knows where that location or that review is coming from, and I think that's also how they create that heat map, if you will, of where you're located. So obviously, it's going to start around closer to your office, but as you spread out further, if you have a service industry, for instance, that really expands as well.
Oh, very cool. What are some other tips, Jeremy, that you might recommend as it comes to your Google business listing? I know one that comes to mind for me is just making sure that you're you've got the same, and we mentioned it, but NAP, your same name, same address, and same phone number across the board. And that means even little things like if you're, you know, do you put your suite address or not? If you're northeast, do you type out northeast or do you just put NE, and making sure there's consistency there? If you're running an LLC, as a lot of businesses are, whether or not you put LLC at the end of your name or not. I'm not saying there's a right or wrong, but I do believe Google wants consistency in that. They don't want to see any variation. So if you're going to not use the LLC, don't use it anywhere. If you're going to use any instead of time, and make sure that you're using the same phone number across the board. Is that your experience as well?
It is. It is. I know for um, businesses who have a service area, it's really hard to put in an address. We deal with people all the time who don't want to put in a home address, but a service area. Just making sure those service areas are consistent is going to be vital to make sure that you're able to rank in those systems as well. But you're absolutely right. It needs to be consistent information all across the board. And that also goes for making sure that if you have a competitor with a similar name, they can differentiate the two between you.
A really good point. The other thing it brings up, I know many times customers of ours and clients that we work with have tracking numbers because we want to be able to track what phone calls come maybe from a Google business listing as opposed to other campaigns. It's my understanding when you're going to use that, that the best thing to do is to add that tracking number as your primary number and then leave your main business number, the one that you've had there for years, leave that up as a secondary number so that Google doesn't think that you've necessarily been, hacked or anything like that. Is that your experience as well, to use that tracking number as the primary, but keep your primary business number listed on your Google listing as a secondary number?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Excellent. So Mike just put in a question here and says, for John Doe or for a John Doe, what does being active on your Google business listing mean? I think that's a good thing. What type of frequency are we talking about? Does this have to be daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly? How often should a business owner be out there checking and updating their Google business listing?
I say at least once a week if possible.
Yeah.
They're not going to penalize you for posting too much. I wouldn't believe they would. But they will. I guess I don't want to say they don't penalize you, but you'd get deranked for not posting as much. And that includes going in and just updating office pictures, or if you're on the job, taking a picture and posting it. Um, it's a social profile that helps you get noticed for
I
sure.
was going to say those updates could include things. They don't have to be necessarily a new blog post. It could be a blog post. It could be a video you shot. It could be photos, before and after photos of a job that you recently did, or anything like that. But making sure we go in weekly and make some form of an update, obviously, is a best practice.
Yep. Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Absolutely correct.
I
Another
know
good point.
another question I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, another good point too is when you get those reviews, make sure that you respond to them. Um, if it's a bad review, respond once, apologize, obviously, and just leave it alone. Don't start an argument online. But for the positive reviews too, make sure that you're letting them know that you appreciate their business as much as possible. So that will also help your rankings.
I think that's a good point, especially about the negative reviews. Obviously, we hope you don't get many, but I'll admit, even Valorous Circle, we've got 2 negative reviews out of about 160 positive reviews. And the first one we got, it was like, somebody's reaching inside my chest and tearing my heart out. I'm like, no, no, you've got to be kidding. And of course, my perspective and this customer's perspective are very different. And I know in my case, I actually went and had a member of our team write the response because we wanted to respond, but we wanted to do so in a way that de-escalated the situation instead of just turning it into a firefight of words online.
Yep.
And so I certainly can agree. If you have that bad experience, you get a bad review. One, reach out and try to resolve it, because I know sometimes when you resolve that situation, the customer will go back in and either remove that review entirely or give you a 4 or 5 star review. If that's not possible, and we all have run into customers that just sometimes there's customers you can't please no matter what. Don't engage in a fight of words with them. Just like Jeremy said, acknowledge their frustration, apologize they haven't had the experience that you desire that they would have, and let them know that you're available should they have any other questions. Remember that most of the people reading your reviews are not going to penalize you if you've got 35-star reviews and 1 1-star review. Nobody's going to care about the 1 star. In fact, it may even make you more credible because they go, "Oh, you didn't stuff. These aren't all made up. These are accurate."
Yep.
So having a small handful that maybe brings you to a 4.9 instead of a 5.0 overall rating as a business owner, I know it hurts and it especially seems unfair, but it's not necessarily a bad thing, because studies have shown anything over 4.7 customers consider to be essentially a trustworthy perfect score. Jeremy, anything you want to add into that? I know that's just an issue we hear about, and sometimes they're fictitious. We have a 1 star review from a company in Brazil that we've never done work for, and we can't get Google to remove that. There's nothing we can do. You just have to kind of accept it and figure that your customers are going to be smart enough to realize, yeah, that's probably not somebody they've worked with when every other customer is in the United States. Jeremy, anything else you'd want to add to that?
I think you covered a majority of it, and I think you're right on with the authenticity of a 4.7, 4.8, 4.9 review. I mean, we're obviously human, but at the same time, if I'm on Amazon and it has a 4.5 or 4.6 review, it's a product that I'd probably end up purchasing because it outranks something with a 3-star review all day long. So I think you're right on with that.
Yeah. The other thing regarding reviews, and I know this isn't just about that, but let me encourage all the business owners out there watching this. When you ask your customers for a review, first ask them. Don't just trust you're going to get a good review. Happy customers don't tend to leave reviews. Upset customers do. So ask your happy customers for a review, and don't just ask them for a review. Ask them for a 5-star review. And I'm going to blatantly admit this comes from Holiday Inn Express, where I stayed a number of years ago. And as I got on the elevator to go downstairs after I checked in, there's a big poster in the elevator, and it says, "If you've had a good experience, we want a 5-star review." And it explained right on there that a 4-star review we consider to be a failure. It means we dropped the ball. So unless you've reached out to us and essentially asked us for help and we refused your help, we really want that 5-star review from you. And it was interesting because, let's face it, it was a Holiday Inn Express. It was fine, but there was nothing special. It wasn't the Ritz Carlton or the Four Seasons or anything like that. But yet, when I checked out and they did ask me for a review, I thought to myself, well, nothing was bad enough to complain about. Therefore, I'll give them a 5-star review. And as a business owner, I think we need to encourage our customers to give us those 5-star reviews as well, and letting them know that if we haven't earned that, we really want to find out what we need to do to earn that 5-star review. You'll find most of your customers will give you that 5-star review, but if you don't ask for it, some of them may give you 3 and 4s just because some people don't give out 5s unless you give them a good reason to do so.
Mm-hmm. Nailed it.
I know a lot of customers also question and business owners question about where do I come up with content? And I think one of the great tips there, in my mind at least, is frequently asked questions. If we would, as business owners, go, what are the questions we get asked all the time? I think every business has anywhere from a dozen to hundreds of questions that they get asked regularly, and those questions may change over time. What other tips might you have, types of content that could be created, whether that's a short video, an Instagram type photo with text on it, or even just a blog post? What other tips would you have for coming up with content to share?
Great question. If you're in the service industry, you can always do a tool or product reviews. Suggestions on what you use. If you're at home, would you use this cleaner? Would you use this tool, purchase or not? Letting people know that you're on a job is a fantastic way to actually post frequently. It's if you have a job, just take a picture and post it. And then also if you have like business partners or other people that you would suggest, feel free to recommend them on your business page as well. That would just create a really good relationship between the companies that I think would be appreciated all around, because they'd probably do the same for you because of reciprocity.
Really good hints and good suggestions. I know that's something that people are always wondering about. If you're totally stuck, let me give you one last tip here when it comes to content creation. There's two websites that I know I use regularly to try to find out what are people asking. And one is just Google Trends. And I don't remember the URL, but if you just Google the phrase Google Trends, you'll come up with that site. And Google tracks trends based on what's being queried and what's happening. And if you look in your industry, you can come up with some more common and especially more recent type questions that may be being asked. The other one that I love a lot, and it's also free to use, is a website called answerthepublic.com. Head out there and type in a keyword related to your business. Maybe it's water damage restoration. And look, the first thing that comes up, they're going to give you anywhere from about 20 to 70 or so common questions that are being asked regarding that topic. And that can be a great way as a business owner or a marketer to come up with the types of questions that you want to create content to answer. And remember, by doing that, you're also then going to rank better in those searches, because those questions are often searches that people are performing. And if you have the answer, you're going to show up well for that. So it's another great way to increase your overall site ranking.
Agreed.
I got to admit, as we talk, Jeremy, I'm not sure I can think of any other really prudent things for Google business listings. I know we could spend hours talking about the minutia, but that's not the purpose of this. Are there any other things you'd recommend that a business owner or marketer pay attention to or do regularly regarding that Google business listing?
Yep. I think the last thing that we didn't mention was making sure that you put your services of what you do. There's usually a drop down, and those drop downs are how they rank you accordingly. So make sure that that is up to date. Anything that you do, make sure that it's on that list.
Excellent recommendation. So, well,
And
everyone,
that's
we thank you for listening to the discussion today as we talk about various marketing tips. And if you've got questions on a particular topic, let us know. We would love to answer your specific questions as well. So if you've got a marketing topic, a marketing question, just something that's befuddling you, ask away, drop us an email. When we do production here, we'll make sure we have an email on that, or drop it in the comments. We'll monitor those comments and we'll answer those questions on a future episode. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.